Hello everybody, my name is Kimo and it's going to be my 5th episode of my mini-series called Shuffle Insight. I'll leave the link down below for the other videos, and in this topic we'll be dealing with the factors that shape your shuffling style. Now, I'm sure we have talked about this with local communities, amongst friends, but just thought I would bring it out to a larger audience, fresh new eyes to shuffling, where little intricacies like our shirt, our pants, and our shoes can really shape our style of shuffling. So stay tuned for the video. Now, there are the obvious key factors within shuffling that truly shapes our shuffling styles, such as the various substyles within shuffling, the amount of aggression or non-aggressive steps that we take, our own expression through the music, and how we feel through the music when dancing, and of course, just how we implement some of our steps, how we execute some of these steps. But I feel like there are factors that we don't normally talk about or don't even notice that have a huge impact into our shuffling and actually are beneficial to understand. To start off, we have shirts. Now, the type of shirt or sweaters that we wear, even light jackets, can really implement our style, whether it's tidy close to our body or even just really loose and baggy. It all depends on what type of look we're trying to achieve, whether it's wild, flowy, sharp. Depending on what we're wearing can help achieve us to have that certain type of look. From short sleeve to long sleeve, sweaters with zippers, even light jackets, whatever you have them closed or open, will give a certain type of look within our spins or even just our simple arm movements. And if we want some restrictions to our arm movements, then it has to vary on what we're wearing, or maybe we want something more flowy. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve, and choosing the right top will help you achieve that. Next up, we have leg wear. Now, this is much more closer to our movements of shuffling, considering that shuffling is a footwork based movement. And some of the leg wears can have some restrictions or unrestrictions to our legs and movements depending on what we're trying to achieve, whether we're trying to have a very sharp looking movement or very wild type of movements or very clean, whatever the case may be. Leg wear is going to have some type of implement within our style. This can go on from wearing skinny jeans, regular jeans, cargo pants, fat pants, joggers, UFOs, shorts, maybe gym shorts, whichever the case may be. It's going to give a certain type of look within your shuffling, and it's something that you should take note of depending on what you're trying to achieve, what look you're trying to achieve, what movements you want to be able to do. And maybe you need some of these restrictions, or maybe you need something that's a lot more looser for you to do movements in a different way, more flowy, whatever the case may be. Another factor is our body types, whether we're taller, shorter, more stockier build, or skinnier, have longer legs, shorter legs. It all varies and has a huge impact within our shuffling style. This can vary with having some power moves, having movements that are very sharp and clean looking, all varying depending on our size of our body. And even doing some moves that are probably more clean looking or maybe even more gentle depending on our height. But also, of course, there's also how we ourselves execute some of these moves. There will be even noticeable differences like flexibility that will actually have some type of difference between someone who shuffles a lot like you, and even being double jointed is another key aspect. But it's what makes each and every one of our styles completely unique to one another. And even if it's someone who has the same height, maybe a similar build, you're gonna see some key factors that are going to be very unique to each and every one of us. Another factor that's more of a quick one to know is our posture. Depending if we are more upright or leaning forward, it will change the way we do our movements and how we're executing some of our movements, with being more powerful with our moves or more gentle with our moves. The posture of what we are implementing within our style can change that type of look. And for some of us, we may have problems within our own body that gives us a certain posture without even trying, or some of us just like to be in a certain posture, and that's why we have our style looking the way it is, unique compared to someone else. Another factor is the types of floors that we shuffle to, and I feel like this is very important when we begin our shuffling journey. Now, throughout our experience with shuffling, we're going to be shuffling to different floor types, but I feel like in the very beginning of our journey, we're going to have an impact within our unique style compared to others, depending on the types of floors that we first shuffle on. This can range from on concrete floors on our parking lots, backyards, or a park nearby, maybe indoors with like tiles, wood floors, or even carpet. And that will dictate exactly how your style starts and what you're going to be comfortable with. From there, you're going to have experience with that certain type of floor, and then you're going to feel the difference when you go to a floor that's much more grippier or maybe even slippier than the one you're accustomed to. Of course, we might even trip on ourselves when it comes to floors that are much more slippier. Even sometimes floors that are much more grippier, we don't expect so much grip, and then suddenly we might trip. So we also want to avoid that too. So as we're starting out, we might come by with one of those things, but as time goes on, with our experience with floor types, our experience with our shuffling, we will accommodate to some of those things, and you will see differences, and you will know how much exertion you're going to put within your footwork. From there, you're going to have floors that you are most comfortable with and floors that you want to avoid in terms of possibly tripping or anything like that. But even your experience over time within your shuffling journey with the move sets and of course other floor types, that it doesn't matter what the floor is, you will still dance to it. But again, it all comes to experience, and even then there's still going to be possibly ones that you're going to avoid, you know. But it all comes down to preference. Everyone has a different preference within the floor types they like, and of course how it accommodates to their style, because sometimes you might have some restrictions, sometimes you might have more freedom depending on the floor type. But again, it all comes down to your preference, what's the style you're working with, and which is going to be the best combination between the two. And lastly, we have shoes. Now, I feel like this is very obvious, but I feel like we don't go in depth as much to see how it affects our styles entirely. Now, it's always known that to begin our shuffling journey, we need a flat shoe, primarily that of skate shoes. However, some people have broken the mold into wearing something like a running shoe that's very ergonomic, or even something heavy like boots. But also some of us may choose a flat shoe that may be more slimmer or even more bulky, and can really implement our style differently between restrictions or maybe even more freedom to our feet. This can range from how the shoe stabilizes your ankle, or even the amount of grip underneath the sole. There might be a shoe that will accommodate a certain style you're trying to work at, or maybe then like you need some type of restriction or you need some type of freedom to help you be more comfortable with shuffling around. But another thing to know is the different types of floor types, which accommodates very well with the type of shoes you're wearing. So having a very grippy floor and having a very grippy shoe might not be the best asset, but that's where you start mix and matching. But this all comes down to experience when it comes to your shuffle journey. You're gonna have a lot of trial and error. From major to minor, these factors have a great impact within your shuffling and should be noted just in case you are trying to achieve a certain look within your shuffling or a certain style you want to achieve. It all comes down to preference and just really looking in depth within your shuffling and how can you go to further yourself within your shuffling journey. Just remember, it's all about having fun when you're dancing and just enjoying yourself and flourishing out with your expression through the music. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope this will help you in flourishing your shuffling style and will help experienced shufflers, teachers, new beginners with these types of factors that will help shape your style in ways that you haven't really thought about. And as always, have a good day and keep on rocking.